Alright, what's up, boys? Welcome back to the video. This is a little bit of a different video. I'm basically just gonna be telling you guys my story, with my physique, my mentality, the things that I've gone through, a lot of the lessons that I've learned to become the person that I am today. I just got off like a 10-hour shift here at the banquet center that I work at. I think I just wanted to record this video after the shift because usually I think a lot during these shifts. Where I'm working like 10 hours, I just am always in my head, like in my thoughts and stuff. And I feel like this is the best time for me to kind of just sit down and kind of be real with you guys. I'm going to be pretty vulnerable. I'm going to try and not cut the video as much. I'm going to try to keep it pretty raw. And yeah, I'm going to try and talk, roughly for 30-45 minutes and really just run you guys through who I am and how I got to the point that I'm at today. So I'm going to start you guys off pretty much my sophomore year. I'll throw a picture up on the screen here soon, but I was like 130 pounds, okay? I was really skinny because I was in wrestling and we had to make weight. So this is kind of the start of my, I guess, fitness journey, right? So I didn't know too much about nutrition. I had to cut a lot of weight, so I was just binging and like pretty much starving myself, right? And not eating food to make weight each week. Because I was making 130 pounds and like that was a very hard weight for me to make, and so I was just really skinny. And when I got done, with the wrestling season, I just felt so small. And I was going into my junior year, and I wanted to be strong. I wanted to be, not considered small. Because keep in mind, I was only 5'7", 130 pounds at this time, and I just was very insecure with, my body and how strong I was, and really just like, my physique. And going into my first year on varsity for football, I just wanted to be a weight that I could be proud of and be confident with. So going from, when I ended the season, the first like couple months, I think I gained like 25 pounds or something. It was really bad. A lot of it was like replenishing all of the weight that I had. So it might have been like maybe 10 pounds of water weight, but I was also, this was like kind of during the 2021, 2022 gym phase where it was like bulk super hard, like Alex Eubank, all this stuff. And it was just on my For You page. And I just started going to the gym like crazy. And I remember I had the craziest newbie gains because we had this like class, right? It's called football tech at my school. And I benched 135 for 5, right? And after this month, right, after I, was bulking, I was eating like 4,000 calories a day. Keep in mind, I did not know that much about fitness or nutrition, but I gained a lot of weight because I was just eating as much as I can. Because a lot of the, nutrition stuff that was preached at the time was bulk, right? And just eat all these calories. These people eating like 5,000, 6,000 calories a day. So that's what I was doing. I was getting a lot of protein in, and I was hitting bench like every single day. So I think like 2 months or 3 months later, I went from 135 for 5 to 135 for 20 because we tested it in the weight room, and my coach was like, what the heck? Like, this kid got so strong all of a sudden. But really it was just newbie gains and me just eating a lot of food and really getting like a lot of protein in, which I also did get pretty fat. Like I said, I'll throw a picture up of what I used to look like and then what I look like after the bulk, right? But this is kind of what sparked my journey because I had those really good newbie gains, so I just fell in love with the gym so quickly. You know what I mean? I remember I had 225 at 16, and I think the next year that summer I had 275. That summer I hit 275, I believe. Or, yeah, I think so, 275 on the bench press, which was crazy for a 16-year-old. But yeah, that's kind of what started the whole fitness thing. During this time, I had a personal fitness account, and I was really just posting there. Nothing too crazy. I was just doing the gym for fun, whatever it was. We're going to fast forward through the, that year. Nothing really crazy happened. I kind of just went through my football season, whatever. It was just a normal kid during that time. And then it got to, around the winter. And this is like a really big turning point in my life because I met this girl, right? And I hadn't been in like a serious relationship in a long time, right? I haven't really had a relationship. I kind of was just, I would talk to a girl, whatever it was. And I found this girl, we met and we started dating. And like, I just remember like being doing everything I could to make it work, right? And I remember we used to go to these parties. We were in a friend group, and at these parties she would like leave me, right? Like usually you would hang out with someone who you're dating, right? But she would leave and go and talk to other guys like in front of me, and I thought that was kind of weird. Like I didn't really like that. Like she would kind of get touchy with them, and that like, and when you're drinking it kind of makes it a little bit worse, but like that was just such a weird thing for me. And I tried to set up dates and things like that, and then I remember I said something to her one night, and it got like a whole thing. We got into a fight, and I just remember like, okay, this is the week I'm gonna I just want it to be better, right? It was about 1 month into dating. And keep in mind, during all this time, like, she wouldn't really snap me back, like, and all these things. And I was constantly in my head about this relationship. And like I said, because it was my first relationship that I really got into and was really trying for. And I remember, it was one of those nights, we had one of those parties again. And I was there, and we didn't really talk the whole time. Like, we just didn't talk. And I remember she was getting touchy with one of my guys or one of my boys, or it was just someone else there she was getting touchy with. Like, she left me and went and started getting touchy with that guy. And like, I remember just going upstairs, and like we had like a little fight because she came upstairs and was like, hey, what's wrong? And I like told her and all this stuff. And then a couple days go by, it seems pretty normal, and I went and bought her like a really expensive gift because Valentine's Day was coming up. And I said, hey, are we still on for our dinner plans for Valentine's Day? I want to talk to you, blah blah blah. And she ended it. Like, I had went out about this stuff, and I just was like crushed because like I wanted to make it work. I wanted to understand why she was doing these things. And like at the time, I didn't really realize what was going on. Like, maybe she didn't really like me or whatever it was, or she just was in a relationship. I don't know. But that kind of hurt. And like, I remember I was just so wrecked from that because I didn't really go too much into detail with you guys here, but like I was constantly in my head, why is she not? Because she wasn't really she didn't really talk to me during the day. We would talk, for 30 minutes. We never really called. We only saw each other on the weekends during those parties, right? Which, it was just such a weird relationship, and I really wanted it to work, and it didn't, right? And I got, like, it was just heartbreaking for me. And then, a couple weeks go by, and we're going to these parties still, but we're broken up now, and, like, this was kind of selfish, on my part. I can't really speak on her behalf, but I was trying to, like, talk to other girls in front of her at these parties and take pictures with them and do all this stuff. And it was just clueless, right? Like, it was just like, what are you doing, bro? But that was, like, how I could, like, cope, right? And I never got with anyone. Like, I didn't do that. But I just was, like, trying to, like, flirt with them or whatever in front of her to kind of make her feel, I don't know, jealous that she lost me or something. I don't know. But then spring break rolls around. And this spring break was a very pivotal moment in my life because we went there, and one of the guys that she was getting touchy with that I was concerned about, and she told me that it was nothing, whatever it was, they ended up getting together on spring break, and ultimately ended up started dating. But that was just one part of that spring break that it just crushed me even more, because I was like, I was right, I knew it all along, and she was doing these things right in front of me, and it was just it was a really rough time. But this is where I want to talk about God's timing, because during all this time, I'm out partying, I'm drinking during this time, I feel so shitty about myself. I wanted this relationship to work and all these things, and it didn't. And I honestly thought that spring break we could maybe talk or whatever, and then she ended up doing that, and it was just rough for me. But I met my current girlfriend of 2 years now on spring break in Florida, where I met her, and I was going through all these things because there was even more drama on spring break. I was getting shit talked behind my back. Like, it was just a whole mess, and I don't want to go too much into it, but I want you guys to know that the biggest thing is that it was a very hard time for me. And I was still in the gym and all these things, but this is where I met my girlfriend. Okay, I met her on the beach, and we were talking, and I kind of was just venting to her. It wasn't really like trying to, you know, flirt or whatever. It was really just someone to vent to. And, you know, she was there for me. She heard me out. She understood. And I was telling her all these things because she heard, you know, the things that they were saying about me. Because, like, she wasn't a part of our group. She's just some random girl that I met on the beach. And so, you know, she was telling me these things, and it just made me, like, I felt like I had nobody, right? Like, all my friends, I felt like had backstabbed me. You know, the girl that I really wanted to be with got with the guy that I literally was told that, you know, not to worry about. And I just felt so lonely and heartbroken at this time. And I remember, like, my girlfriend Grace, right? She was just there, and all we did was just talk for days. You know, that whole trip. Every single night I would go down to the beach and I would talk to her pretty much just about everything, you know, about how I felt and whatever. And, you know, that's how we ended up dating. She actually lives, you know, a couple states over or whatever, and we've been dating long distance for 2 years now. She's actually coming in a couple weeks again for a trip. But yeah, so that happened. That was kind of the pivotal moment in my life because I stopped making content, you know, because like I said, it was kind of just like a hobby. Like, I wasn't taking it serious. And I started posting content, but I heard that the girl that I liked and I was dating at the time was talking shit about it, right? And then again, you know, I felt even more self-conscious, so I stopped making content, whatever. But after this whole spring break, you know, I really just decided to go all in on myself. I had this girl who felt like my best friend in the world, you know, who's my current girlfriend now. Sorry, it's getting a little hot. Let me put that in my notes. It's like really hot today. Yeah, so I started making more content, and this is kind of where I kind of started taking it a little bit serious. Like, I wasn't really, you know, I didn't really think it could really turn into anything, but I was making gains. I was super locked in. I was not partying. I was not drinking. I was locked in. This is where I learned, you know, a lot about diet and all these things, and I was really going all in. And keep in mind, this was going into my senior year of high school, so I wanted to, you know, really get into football and things like that as well. And that truly was my dream before all this fitness stuff was football. I loved football. It was my passion. And I just liked getting strong for football. That was the whole point of getting fit in the first place, was for football. So I had this new girlfriend, going in, whatever, and this time, like, I was detached from my friend group. I didn't talk to them. All I really had was Grace, my girlfriend. I had a couple of my close boys, you know, who I talked with and whatever. And, you know, it gets to football season. I'm strong. I'm really doing good in the gym, and I got elected as a captain. Okay, and so this football season was kind of my downfall for football. You know, I felt like this is my season. I went to a bunch of camps in the summer. I was running really fast 40 times. I was like low 4.5s, whatever it was, 4.4 almost, like speed, right? And I went into the football season, and it wasn't good. I had some good plays, but I wasn't being trusted by my coaches, and my coaches would promise me one thing, and they wouldn't deliver. They wouldn't ever, you know, try to get, like, it was just a really hard time because it made me hate the sport. I was given this captain position, and I did everything for my team. You know, I was practicing all the time, and I was pretty good. Like, I was good enough to play. And whenever I had the ball in my hands, I made plays. But they just didn't trust me. I don't know what it was, but, you know, it's hard for me to even talk about because it was just such a devastating feeling that I put all this time into football. My whole life I had trained for it. And then I get to my senior year where I think I'm going to be able to play, and I get let down. I don't get as much opportunity as I thought, and you know, this was really hard for me again. So another self-esteem drop there. I still had Grace, you know, I still had some friends, but it was like a really lonely time. And at this point in my life, like, I had nothing to do with God. I wanted nothing to do with God. You know, it was kind of just like a maybe go to church, pray, you know, like, please let me have a good football game kind of a deal, but I really wasn't in a good spot with Christ at all. But yeah, that was kind of my downfall. The season wrapped up, you know, I felt like I was a failure. And like I said, I had some decent film. Whenever I got the ball in my hands, I made a play. I got some good film. But, you know, I didn't really think that football was going to be my thing. A couple months later, in the winter, I'm doing powerlifting, okay? I quit wrestling for powerlifting. And I actually go, and this was some of the best period of my life. This is where I truly grew my passion for bodybuilding, for powerlifting, for the weights, just fitness in general. This is where I truly grew it. I met, you know, one of my closest boys. You guys see him on this channel. His name's Manny Miller. I had known Manny, but we really grew close over this time and bonded over the whole powerlifting thing. We were in the powerlifting club. My boy Noah Zabinski, Josh Vizentine. He wasn't too much into powerlifting, but we kind of grew closer during this time. Patrick Gruka, all these boys, right? We just went and killed it every single day in powerlifting. Like we went out, I won my regional meet. I think I placed top 10 in states. Like it was just such an amazing period. And this is where my true passion for fitness grew, because it was like official competitions, you know, brotherhood, all these things. Like this is where I truly grew and made the most progress in my fitness journey, I would say, in the kind of earlier stages. I get an offer a couple months after, I think like a month after my powerlifting win, or my powerlifting top 10 at states. I actually got an offer to play football at Lawrence Tech. This is my first offer. I was given pretty good money, but I was left with such a sour taste in my mouth from the past season. Like, you know, like the coaches made me hate the sport. I just didn't like the sport. I hated how I felt playing the sport, but I got this offer, right? And it seemed like it was God's vision for me and like God's gift for this offer, right? And I was like, you know what? I'm really torn right now. I don't really want to play college football, but it'll make my family proud. It'll make, you know, the people that I went to school with proud. You know, my teachers or my coaches, whatever it was, right? Like I really made the decision purely based off of them. You know, I didn't really have the truest intentions for myself. I did a lot of things for other people. And this goes back even to when I had the girlfriend, the first girlfriend I talked about. Oh, this is making me not focused. I've always done stuff for other people, right? Whether that's put myself in a worse position for another person, you know, give the last thing that I have. Like I've always just been about giving back to people, but it also comes with being a people pleaser, you know, and that's just who I am growing up. And so I ultimately made the decision to play football for them. But at the same time as I'm getting this offer, I had my first video on TikTok blow up. Like I'm talking like 800,000 views. It was actually a slideshow with my girlfriend, and like it just opened my eyes. Like this was the main start of Recta. Like literally, this was the main start of the fitness, of the content creation, of all that stuff. This is when I truly went all in, because I was like, somebody like me had a video do that well. And it was just so, because I've never had that in my entire life. I was always posting content for like Fortnite back in the day and Minecraft back in the day, and I had never received any kind of attention like this, right? And it was literally one video that had 800,000 views, and I was like, wow, bro, like this is insane. So the same time that I have this football offer and I commit, right? I commit to the football offer. I also have my passion for fitness and bodybuilding at an all-time high, right? So I'm putting out YouTube videos. I'm lifting with my boy J-Viz, Josh Vizentine. He's been on the channel if you go back to my earlier videos. This time I'm talking about, you can find it on my channel too. It was when we used to lift at Iron City. I think it was like Leg Day Demolition. He's in that one. He's in a couple of videos, but this is the period of time that I'm talking about. And you know, I'm putting out these YouTube videos, I'm posting every single day, I'm doing TikToks, you know, my account's growing, all this stuff is going well, but I also have to focus on football, right? So I'm completely torn by speed training, you know, throwing, because I was a slot receiver, so I was catching the ball, going to the field all the time, but also trying to keep up on my strength and my lifts and how I looked and all these things, right? So they're constantly fighting for attention. And, you know, that's kind of how it was going into the summer, right? I was constantly split between these two things. But during this time, I want to talk about a period where I was doing TikTok lives, right? And this was another lesson that I want you guys to learn is during these I was doing these TikTok lives, and, you know, I had this passion for fitness. I love it, right? And I'm making videos. I'm trying to help people. And I started doing these lives during lunchtime, right? Because I was only in school for the first 3 hours my second half of the year. Because I had a hybrid schedule. First 3 hours in person, last 3 hours just online work. And I was doing these lives at lunchtime because I was out of school. So I would go to the gym, pop up a live for a little bit, then go hit my lift. And every single day I did these lives, there was this group of kids at a lunch table at my school, and they all sat at the same lunch table. And they would join my lives and just like absolutely, like they would like make fun of me in a way, but like trolling pretty much. They would troll me, and like, you know, I just kind of had to ignore it because I was still trying to focus on what I was doing. But they would come in every single day, and they would like send a couple roses to be funny, and like just be like, they were just being complete, like, to be honest with you, dicks, right? And like this kind of just destroyed my self-esteem because it's like, bro, like, and I tried to be a person who didn't really care because I knew like putting myself out there on social media, but like, dude, this like killed it for me. Like I was like so, and I tried to act like it didn't really mess with me, but it was rough, right? Like I had like 10 kids coming into my lives just absolutely shit talking me, showing people at the school, making fun of me, doing all these things, right? And it was rough, you know. And that kind of killed my passion a little bit. And it was, you know, I was like, maybe I should just focus on football. And I did for a little bit. But I still tried to still do the fitness, and I stopped doing the lives, but I was still posting TikToks, whatever it was. And we're gonna fast forward. I'm sorry, I'm kind of rambling a little bit. We're gonna fast forward to the football. And the first week I got there, I moved into college for football, whatever. And I remember like the first couple days of camp, I remember I called my dad, and I was just like crying on the phone. And I was like, you know, like, I feel like I just don't belong here. Like, everyone is so grateful to be here, and I just feel like I'm being forced to be here and all these things. And he was like, you know, it's during camp, and obviously I knew camp was hard. I've gone through a bunch of hard shit in my life. Like, I could make it through football summer camp, right? It's like, you know, where you do like 12 hours or like 8 hours a day of football or something, like every single day for like 2 weeks or something like that. But we did that, and I just remember I was just on the phone crying, and my dad was like, you know, just stick it out, and we'll see after this season, you know. So my camera is gonna run out of battery soon, so I might cut in a little bit, but yeah. Anyways, I'm going through football season, and I just can tell like this is not what I want to do, right? I'm going, and and this is a lot of things. Like when I felt something, right, I would resort to my vices, which were video games, which were, you know, going out and partying, drinking, with my boy. Like every time the weekend hit, we would just go out and party, right? Even if we lost, like it was so bad. And I would resort to video games, scrolling, all these things to distract myself from my current situation. And I did this for months, and I got through the season. I'm trying to fast forward because I want you guys to just understand the main parts of this. The truth is, I hated it, okay? And, you know, I remember calling my dad, and he came down to meet me at the school. And I was like, Dad, this is the first decision I've ever made, you know? Like, I didn't say that. I said, this is what I'm saying to you guys. This is the first decision I made in my life that was 100% my decision. What I felt and what I wanted to do. And I told him, Dad, I don't want to be here. I want to transfer out. I want to focus on my career, which was, you know, which I'm studying computer science right now. I want to focus on that, and I don't want to play football. And he accepted it, you know. And it was hard for me because I knew that it hurt him a little bit because he always pushed me, and he was there for me for my practices and things like that. And he really just wanted me to be the best football player that I could. And I was ending that chapter in my life. But I made the decision for myself, and that was the biggest part. Okay, I'm back. But yeah, that was the first decision I've ever made that was my decision. And, you know, during this time I had lost, like during the football season, I stopped posting as much content, right? And I saw this as like, okay, I'm going to go all in because I'm not playing football anymore, so I can completely focus on fitness and my social media. And this is where I truly started to just like, I was so locked in. I think I started cutting during this time too for social media. I was locked in on my diet. I was locked in on all these things, and I was fully going in on this dream that I had for myself. But I was doing it. Here's the biggest part. I was doing it without God. During this time, I was not even talking to God. I wanted nothing to do with God. I was just fully focused on what I wanted, my dreams, fitness, money, whatever it was, right? That's all I was focused on. And I was doing this, and honestly, this was probably one of the most like depressing times of my life, other than the girlfriend breakup situation that happened. Even though I had my girlfriend now, right, and in this time, like, I'd quit football, you know, and I was telling people like, yeah, you know, and I would like give them this story of why I quit, like I was trying to explain myself. And looking back, like, you know, like, you don't have to explain yourself for the things that you do. I mean, unless it's like bad, like unless like you like accidentally crashed a whip because you were drunk driving or some stupid, right? And you gotta explain yourself to the cops, right? But like in this scenario, like I was just explaining a decision I made for myself, you know. But I was so sad because it's like I felt like I was a failure. I wasn't playing college sports anymore. All I was doing was lifting. I was playing video games like 6, 7, 8 hours a day. Like, it was just all these things were adding up, and I just completely felt like a failure. And I also didn't have God, so it made it worse. And so all this time, I'm just fully doing that. I'm getting through college at my new school. I'm still going out and partying on the weekends because I'm sad and I don't know what else to do. So I'm just partying on the weekends to try to fill that void. You know, I'm posting my half-ass content because like I had the motivation, but I didn't. I did stuff when I wanted to. I didn't do it when I didn't want to. Like that kind of feeling, right? I was just a stalemate. I didn't really feel like I had a purpose. And like I half believed I could do it, and I half believed I was like in and out of everything. I was always 50-50 because I didn't believe in myself. I told myself I believed in myself, but I didn't. And that was the biggest thing. And I don't know what clicked in me. You know what? I'll tell you what clicked in me. My girlfriend made me go to church with her when she visited. And I don't know why, but this service, like with her sitting next to me in this service, I just remember feeling something. I remember God touching me somehow. And I just remember like something in my mind shifted, and I realized that what I was missing this whole time, for all these years, I was missing God. I was missing my Savior, Jesus Christ. That's what I was missing. It wasn't football. It wasn't fitness. Sure, fitness is my passion now, and that's the dream that God gave me, and that's my purpose that God has put in my heart. But without Him, none of it mattered. And so I landed a job in the spring. I don't know if you guys are familiar with my Instagram. If you made it this far, you probably have been watching me and have been watching my Instagram. But I talked about the internship. So I start working 40 hours a week. I start working 10 hours a week on my social media. I start working 10 hours a week on the weekends. And I'm doing all of this, right? But I'm doing it with God. And I'm slowly forming into the man that I've always wanted to be, because I could never stick with something. I would always get motivation, and then I would fall off, and I would resort to my vices. I would go in, go scroll on social media. I would go out and party, which is it's so bad to just resort to those things, right? Because all I needed to resort to was God. That's all I needed, right? But during these past 3 months, I went all in on my work. I went all in on God. I went all in on my coaching business. I'm helping, you know, a couple guys right now. I'm still relatively small, but I've helped a couple guys lose 20, 30 pounds. You know, I've helped some gain muscle, and like I'm just going all in on who I am and myself and building these habits, right? And just slowly shaping into the man that I've wanted to become. And it was all possible. All of these lessons, all of these ups and downs, all of these big changes in my life, they were all given to me by God. And God has brought me to the man that I am today, and the lessons that I've learned. And everything I went through was to mold me into that person. And so that's kind of a little bit about me. I didn't go super in depth, but I really just wanted to talk about, you know, one, don't let people stray you from what you want to do. Make decisions for yourself. Do the things that you love because you love to do them, not because of anyone else's opinion. One. Two, make sure to follow the Lord. The Lord is your light. The Lord's my light. And if you are struggling with anything, whether that's purpose, whether that's addiction, whether that's, you know, you're struggling in your relationships, all of these things, I promise you, they will be resolved through Christ. They will. And that's the biggest message that I've had on here. If you've made it this far, I really do appreciate you. But yeah, I just wanted to tell you guys the things that I've gone through, and, you know, how I've become the person that I am today. The motivated, the disciplined, you know, the ambitious man, the Christ follower, the entrepreneur, all these things that you can say about me. And trust me, I am not perfect at all. I still sin. I still mess up every single day. I still do things I'm not supposed to. But I do all of them through Christ. I have these things with Christ in my life to steer me back on the right path when I sway off. When I drop down to my lowest of lows, when I'm hitting at my all-time highs. Like, God is always there, and he will always be the center of my life. And so that's going to wrap up the video. But yeah, if you guys have any questions, you can always reach out to me, you know, whether that's through fitness and you know, spiritually, mentally, you know, whatever you guys need, I'm always there for you. And I wanted to, you know, let you know a little bit about my story and who I am. It's kind of, I didn't really have enough time to fit everything, but I just wanted to give you guys an overall picture. But I really do appreciate you guys tuning into the video. That's all for me today. I cut off right there, but if you guys are looking for someone to help with your fitness coaching and your mindset coaching, I do offer that one-to-one. I would love, you know, working with my guys. I'm proud to work with the people that I work with. So if that's interest to you, you can send me a DM on Instagram. I'll throw that up on the screen. On Snapchat, you can add my Snapchat. You can DM me on TikTok. Any of these work. I would love to, you know, help you guys out if you guys are interested in that. But I really do appreciate tuning into the video. This is a vulnerable one. This is a long one. But yeah, that's just a little bit about who I am. And peace.